and seeing the excitement and the passion was a great way to start the year off.
All right. Mr. Ibarra?
Yes, sir. On July 8th, I visited Ron Watson's summer school program, STEM program. I met with Amanda Norton. The program consists of 6 teachers, 6 paraprofessionals, and 10 high school volunteers. The students had interesting science project, catapult launch models for controlled burns and water purification systems. Roxanne Ramos, a teacher, spoke about how litter impacts our world. A glass bottle can last 1,000,000 years, a plastic bottle 450 years, cans 200 years lifespan. I'd like to thank Ms. Ramos for that very important information on this. I'd like to thank the teachers, especially Kate Westmoreland, Melissa Garaby, who were teachers at this STEM program, and of course Brenda Finley, and finally Jonathan Bailey. Jonathan Bailey, a teacher from Hill Vista, who was selected as a national STEM ambassador for the Department of Defense. This is a prestigious national recognition honoring exceptional teachers who inspire our next generation of scientists and engineers. And it was a really nice article in the paper regarding this. And that is my report. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Stoner?
All right, here we go. Welcome back, everybody. So on July 6th, I too was at Ron Watson's STEM program, and thank you, Amanda Norton, for that. I went to the ecological disturbances class, so shout out to Mrs. Garaby on that. There was a discussion and education on the trash, like was earlier explained. Did you know that Japan, for example, doesn't even have trash cans? And their specific recycling days are for everything that must be separated, or they will not even pick it up. They won't even take it. Roxanne Ramos and Ms. Finley, thank you for that presentation. Chemistry was done on water and filtration systems. And did you know that only 0.01% of the water on Earth is actually potable? That's kind of crazy. Mr. Bailey, thank you for that presentation. And then we learned about atoms on the periodic table. I didn't learn that until high school. And this was already down in the 3rd grade level, so that was pretty cool to see that. And what do the atoms do? They're made of protons, neutrons, electrons, and they make molecules. So thank you, Ms. Morgan Lee, for that. This was a 3-day event, and then they also they were followed up by, they went to the AWC water treatment facility and finished out the Friday as a family day. On July 11th and 12th, I went to a 6th annual Gateway to the Heart backpack giveaway presented by Regina Villanueva Mendez. And I want to send a special thank you to Mr. Ponder, Christine McCoy. Thank you for both showing up and showing out and representing Yuma Elementary School District 1 at this event. There's every single year they have vendors all across in the parking lot, and they were able to show and highlight what Yuma School District 1 can do for the kids. So it's really cool to see that. The backpacks they gave out in a 2-day event, they gave out 2,500 backpacks, which is their 6th annual event. And every year they also give 11 teachers baskets out. And one of those was our own Hannah Martinez that received one of the teacher baskets. The teacher baskets were filled with classroom supplies, sanitary supplies. I want to give a huge shout out to Home Depot. Continued support. They were the ones that you saw that tote box. They were a huge tote boxes full of stuff. So that was really cool to be able to see Gateway to the Heart give back to the community once again that they've done for the last 6 years. July 17th, annual Fort Yuma Rotary had a kids shopping spree. If you're not aware of this, they do this every single year. And this year they had 55 kids in the community that were able to go to JCPenney's. We volunteered. I was happy to be one of the volunteers once again to take these kids and take them shopping without their parents. Their parents actually sit out in the parking lot waiting for us, that they can't tell the kids, yes, you can, no, you can't. We get to give them what they want. And these kids got loaded from the shoes to the socks to the underwear to the shirts to the pants to a backpack. They left out loaded and ready to go. When they stepped outside, actually they had haircuts also by JCPenney, so thank you to JCPenney. And when they left outside, they were met with the Ices and McDonald's, the kids' meals from McDonald's. So they had a nice full day on that. That was really cool to have that. Welcome back breakfast at Atondo Elementary, July 28th. You know, when I was there, it was like a family reunion. You know, you guys were all gone and working yourself all year long, and then you guys just kind of disappeared for the summer. And some of those faces, I mean, and the hugs and the smiles, and what have you done all summer, and the stories, it was really good to sit there and see that camaraderie. And it was really heartwarming to see what was going on with that. I was really proud to be a part of that. Best dress award, in my opinion, Dorothy Hall. You won it. You had the purple colors and the festive headbands. So I think that was really cool. You really stood out among the rest. So kudos to you on that. Also, the breakfast is usually done by the cafeteria people on this. This year, Chili Pepper actually put it on. And it was good food like always, but really surprised me was it was cost effective that it actually costed less than our own cafeteria doing that. So that was an interesting tidbit for me that we actually paid a restaurant less money than paying our own employees and our own food to do that. That it didn't make sense, but I'm glad that they did that. August 1st, there was a second annual Strikeout Barriers bowling tournament and fundraiser at Inca Lanes. And thanks to the community and supporters that attended that, we raised $16,195, and 100% of that money goes to Erica Jimenez and the ESS classrooms. So we hope to fill some financial voids for you, Erica, on that, and we will be doing that again next year. Erica and Jillian Eberhardt and Robin Honeycutt, all three of them showed up and wanted to see what we were about. I think they just wanted to make sure we were doing it. But thank you for showing up and being a part of the program. We appreciate you being there. And then yesterday, talking about Gateway to the Heart again, Regina Villanueva Mendez, she is the founder of Gateway to the Heart. We went over to Palmcroft Elementary because we were trying to chase Hannah Martinez down and we could not locate her. We didn't get a phone number. We had no way to contact her. So we physically had to go to her school at Palmcroft and give her her items. And I think that she enjoyed them. And that was the end of my runnings around.
All right, thank you. Item 2.2, Superintendent's Report, Art Recognition. Mr. Ponder.
Mr. President, members of the board, so this month, Desert Mesa and Woodard are sharing a few beginning of the year activities. But during open house at Desert Mesa Elementary School, students were invited to illustrate a picture of their family. We love our Desert Mesa families and consider them to be an integral part of the community. I imagine Mr. Gerber provided us with that. He's here. Woodard our students got to know each other as they created radial name designs. These colorful pieces feature the students' names as well as positive adjectives and strengths. Also, Woodard students in Ms. Lopez's EL pop culture class created All About Me one-pagers that were so fantastic that they deserved to be part of this month's display. So you'll see the art on the walls behind you. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 2.2, Donation Recognition. Mr. Ponder.
Mr. President, members of the board, so we did start off the year with some donations totaling $3,119.59 for the month, and then that is our annual total. And then the donation from the fundraiser will be included in September's report, so you'll see that number in there from what took place. So yeah, good start to the year. So $3,119.
Awesome, thank you. Item 3, informational items. First read of public advisories 1047 through 1064. Mr. Ponder.
Mr. President, members of the board, the governing board of Yuma Elementary School District utilizes the services of Arizona School Boards Association to maintain its governing policies and advise the district upon recommended changes. Policy advisories are sent to member school districts and governing board members multiple times throughout the year, usually to respond to changes in the law. This agenda item serves as a first read for the proposed policy changes. ASBA's policy advisories 1047 through 1064 are available on the district's website to facilitate community or employee input. Though no action is required on this agenda item, the superintendent is prepared to address questions, comments, or concerns from the governing board members.
Thank you. Item 3.2, Castle Dome Middle School earns Project ADAM Heart Safe School designation. Ms. Bales.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me okay? All right. Good evening, President Ware, governing board members, Superintendent Ponder, and everyone else here tonight. It is an honor to be standing here with you. I am Sarah Bales. I'm the Director of Health Services for Yuma School District 1, and I am very excited to introduce Natalie McPherson. She is the supervising RN for Castle Dome Middle School, Desert Mesa Elementary School, and Dorothy Hall Elementary School. And this evening, she is going to share some very exciting news about a very exciting accomplishment. With the support of Mr. Gettings and Mrs. Johnson throughout the last school year, Natalie developed a cardiac emergency response plan for Castle Dome Middle School. and established a dedicated team of staff members. Through their teamwork and commitment to safety throughout the school year, Castle Dome earned the Project Adam Heart Safe School designation in May. That is wonderful. This designation recognizes schools that demonstrate a strong cardiac emergency preparedness through awareness, training, and a practiced response plan. Achieving this is a significant undertaking, and I am very proud that Natalie and Castle Dome are leading the way as the first and only school in Yuma County to earn this designation. This is a fantastic accomplishment and a true reflection of the teamwork and commitment of everyone involved. So please join me in welcoming the leader of this initiative, Natalie McPherson.
See if I can manage this. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. Good afternoon. Today I'm excited to share Castle Dome Middle School's journey to becoming a Project Adams Heart Safe School. My goal with this project was to strengthen every link in the chain of survival so that if a sudden cardiac arrest occurs on our campus, our students, our staff, and our visitors have the best possible chance of survival. Sudden cardiac arrest is uncommon, but when it happens, every second matters. The probability of survival decreases by up to 10% for every minute without CPR and defibrillation. Because EMS can't always arrive within those first few minutes, the people already on campus become the first responders. Those few minutes really matter. One study showed an 80% survival rate if schools supplied the AEDs versus 50% if the victim had to wait for EMS. Our goal through Project Adam is to make sure that we're ready if that day ever comes. We started by educating all staff so that they could recognize a cardiac emergency and activate our code AED response. We trained more than 50 staff members in CPR and AED use. We increased our AED coverage from 2 devices to 5 so that an AED can reach any location on campus within 3 minutes. We developed and implemented a cardiac emergency response plan and established a response team. And finally, we practiced our response through 4 cardiac emergency drills so that staff could build confidence before facing a real emergency. Our final designation drill was the culmination of everything that we had worked towards throughout the year. Project Adam required us to conduct and record an unannounced cardiac emergency drill during the regular school day as part of the designation process. The response demonstrated that our preparation truly made a difference. Within 15 seconds of an emergency being called over the radio, a code AED announcement was made throughout the campus. The first response team members arrived with an AED just 1 minute later. CPR began at 1 minute and 40 seconds, and the first shock was delivered at 2 minutes and 13 seconds. While the response team cared for the victim, the rest of the school also did exactly what they'd practiced. Teachers kept students calm, classrooms remained supervised, hallways stayed clear, and nearby staff stepped in to cover responding teachers' classrooms. During the 6 minutes and 40 seconds before EMS arrived, our team delivered 12 rounds of CPR and 2 defibrillation shocks. Those are life-saving interventions that would not have occurred without planning, training, and practice. That preparation turned 6 minutes and 40 seconds of waiting into 6 minutes and 40 seconds of life-saving care. These are the measurable outcomes from the past school year. On May 5th, Castle Dome Middle School became the district's first Project Adam Heart Safe School, recognized through Project Adam's Southern Arizona affiliate, Phoenix Children's Hospital. We expanded AED coverage. We trained more than 50 staff members. We completed cardiac emergency response drills involving more than 20 staff members, and we continued the weekly AED inspection process that's already established by Health Services. Although we are proud of what Castle Dome accomplished, this is really just the beginning. Health Services has already secured new CPR mannequins and AED trainers using grant funds from last year that will help support continued training throughout the district. Our hope is to build on this success by expanding Project Adam to additional campuses so that every student, every staff member, and every visitor has the best possible chance of surviving a cardiac emergency. Thank you for your continued support of student and staff safety. The success of this project was made possible through the collaboration of district leadership, health services, Castle Dome administration, Phoenix Children's Hospital, and Southwest Safety, and our dedicated staff. I want to especially thank Mr. Gettings, Ms. Johnson, and Sarah Bales for their unwavering support of this project over the past year. They trusted me to take this idea and run with it, supported every training, and helped me brainstorm solutions along the way. I truly could not have done this without their support, and they are a huge part of why Castle Dome is a Project Adam Heart Safe school today. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
So do we have any on tap for the next schools?
I have heard rumblings of that. I have one administrative that is interested for one of my other schools. We have some of the largest schools out in the foothills, and so this is a really great initiative for them. And I'm excited to do another one.
Be cool.
You might have mentioned this earlier, but is there any, the funding source, state or federal level that funds the equipment, training, any of this is
It's
donation?
not a requirement for elementary and middle schools in Arizona, so it's just grants. Like for our mannequins, that's what we did. I didn't have those for this, so what I did is I contacted a company that we've worked with for CPR training and requested to borrow their AED trainer. They were fantastic and let me borrow it throughout the year to get my drills done. And then we had some grant funds that we were able to secure our own for future. So most of it, Project Adam itself is a nationwide group, and so they provide a lot of the paperwork that you need and guidance if you have any questions. Phoenix Children's Hospital has a Project Adam group that I worked with, and they kind of guided me on what I needed to do.
This just seems like such a basic thing to have that we'd hope that the state or the federal would
Yeah,
fund a little bit of this,
yeah.
but thank you for what you've done and reaching out and getting the equipment.
How much is this for that project? How much does it cost to be able to go from A to Z?
Yeah, I'll let you take over the minute.
Good job, Natalie.
Paid out of our budget M&O for the CPR training. We got that for $7 a person, which was a really good deal.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's unheard of.
That is,
So that was probably the biggest expense, except for borrowing the mannequins and purchasing them, but it wasn't a lot of money. And then we did drills out on Mondays, in the afternoon. So it was not a lot. I'd say $300 for CPR, roughly.
small price.
So we could fundraise for that.
Yes.
I think we can do that.
All right. Thank you.
Just wanted to mention that as a former combat medic, I think it's very important to have that golden hour when we have a cardiac situation or any type of ABC problems, airway, breathing, and circulation. And it's very impressive. And I thank Mr. Gettings and Ms. Johnson for taking that step for that emergency care. Thank you so much.
Do we have your phone number, your contact information?
My district email?
Is it on here? Can you get it to me later tonight? Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. All right. Item 3.3, information discussion regarding district vaccination communication practice. Mr. Ponder.
So I just wanted to provide an update on some of the practices. So recently we were made aware that our immunization communications didn't accurately spell out the options for exemptions. And so we just wanted to communicate, that we've updated those the exemption information and the information we do send out. So the Arizona Department of Health Services provides us information, but it doesn't have the immunization exemption piece on there. So we're going to add a sticker, to that as we send those out, or any posters we hang up, we'll provide that information so that parents are aware of that option. And then our health department will be working on communicating those internal practices just to make sure that we're communicating that with our families as well. So we're just going to continue to stress that piece of it as well and across the district and work on that aspect of it. So continuing just to to learn and grow and improve, where we operate in the district. So be happy to answer any questions or any follow-ups. Danny is a resident expert on on the ins and outs, maybe more than I am, but we'll be happy to answer any questions that the board might have.
Yeah, and I think it's important to have a little bit of backstory on this, because in the past, we received information from, the county health department. They're not held to the same statute that the district is, so they can disseminate information that meets what they need to do. Unfortunately, we've got to make sure that when given information from another government organization, that they're not giving us information that would get us in trouble.
Sure. Yeah.
They like to use us because we have a captive audience of children, but they have their own mission, just like we have our own mission too. But I do appreciate the quick response, getting that corrected out there. Kudos to you and your team
Appreciate
for that.
Thank you. Where did Sarah go? Thank you, Sarah.
Any other questions? No? All right. We'll move on to item 3.4, district financial trends. Ms. Walden.
Oh, is this more? A few more.
Governing Board President and Governing Board members, good evening. The July report that you have reflects the current budget without any rollover amounts. As we have not yet completed the prior fiscal year, we're working towards that. Once the annual financial report and audit are complete, I will incorporate the finalized rollover numbers into the budget. The current encumbrances include full year estimates for utilities, wages and benefits, maintenance, transportation, school budgets, IGAs, and contractual commitments. These amounts are estimates and may decrease throughout the year due to vacancy savings or lower than anticipated costs or other charges. Overall, the report provides an initial snapshot of the new fiscal year, and the budget will become more reflective of the actual available resources as soon as we complete the year-end practices. Any questions?
No.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 4, call to the public. The governing board welcomes statements from residents and appreciates constructive suggestions and comments that help meet the education needs of the district. The completed form should be submitted by 5:45 the day of the meeting, which is traditionally the second Tuesday of the month. I do want to make a statement here, just a reminder, no presentations shall include charges or complaints against any employee of the district, regardless of whether or not the employee is identified in the presentation by name or other reference that tends to identify. All charges or complaints against an employee shall be submitted to the board under provision of board policy KEB. Just a reminder. I lumped these together. We had two groups here. So we'll start with the first one, Austin Howard.
Hello, everyone hear me? Good. Hi, my name is Austin Howard. I'm a parent of a child at Price Elementary, James D. Price Elementary on YPG. Recently, Mr. Acosta, Mr. Ibarra have been helping me identify some issues with the modes of transportation and some other things such as the population of the school. I understand some of the foothills schools are at a greater than normal population. I have some constructive ways of how maybe we can trim just a slight percentage of that down. One would be a bus route to the school. Mr. Acosta did help me put together a very, very small bus route of one stop, which is, and in the amount of time he had, that's very useful. That being said, the enrollment at Price is open. Price is in a unique location, being on a government installation, which means there are parameters you have to meet. Mr. Ware, I believe you worked out there for a number of time with my father. Mr. Ibarra, you're a veteran. You guys do know those requirements. They're, if they're VA connected, if they're veterans, if they're currently serving in the National Guard Reserve, contractors, government civilians, they're all welcome on the installation, being that they have their correct identification and are still allowed to be on that installation. I don't think it would be very difficult to put out one of those District 1 texts or an email for a public call such as this one, asking if veterans would like their child to attend an A+ school that's a low on population, getting a new one built that should be done next year. They're welcome to. That's kind of the gist of what I wanted to say. I feel like it would be extremely easy to maybe trim 1% off of the K-5 schools in the foothills.
Right.
Thank you for your time. I'm open to any questions or feedback.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Julia Corral. Is it?
I hope can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Good evening, members of the governing board. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you today. I was notified yesterday that I was being dismissed due to the reduction of the number of students enrolled in Price Elementary School, which is at YPG. And I am here to respectfully ask the board to reconsider my situation and allow me the opportunity to continue to serve our district and school communities. I understand that the district has a difficult decision to make when enrollment is low, and I respect the challenges that come with making staffing decisions. However, I would like to share why I hope you will consider allowing me to remain as part of this school community. Teaching is something that I truly love. My students are one of the biggest reasons I come to work every day with desire to do my best. I generally enjoy getting to know my students, watching them learn and grow, celebrating their accomplishments, and creating a classroom where they feel comfortable, welcome, supported, encouraged to believe in themselves. I care about creating meaningful relationships with my students and their families. I want students to know that their teacher believes in them and that the classroom is a place where they can make mistakes, learn from them, and question and continue to grow. Being able to make a positive difference in a child's life is one of the most rewarding parts of being a teacher for me. I have also made a strong commitment to grow professionally. I am actively working towards completing my alternative certification requirements through Arizona Teachers of Tomorrow, and I remain dedicated to obtain my full Arizona teaching license. I am scheduled to take the required Arizona State and U.S. Constitution exam on August 27th. I had to adjust my calendar due to some complications that came up. I am continuing to move forward with my certification requirements, and I am committed to complete them as required by the state. I have also communicated with HR regarding my certification and was told in an email that I had until August 31st to take the requirement test and have my certification reissued. I was also told that if my certification was not completed by August 31st, I could continue to work as a long-time sub while I complete the remaining of my requirements. Because of this communication, I believe I had a path forward that would allow me to continue working with students while completing my certification. I respectfully ask the board to consider this information when reviewing my situation. I have also been making consistent efforts to improve and grow as an educator. I have participated in professional development trainings offered by the district, and I have also taken my personal time and looked for additional trainings and learning opportunities outside of school hours. I have done this because genuinely I want to become the best teacher I can for my students. I am someone who is willing to learn. I welcome opportunities to improve my teaching. I welcome opportunities to improve my teaching, learn new strategies, and find better ways to meet the needs of my students. I believe that being a good teacher means continuing to grow, and I am committing to that growth. I am proud of the class community I have work to build. I am proud of the relationships I have developed with my students and their families. I am grateful for the trust they have placed in me. My students have become an important part of my life, and being separated from them so unexpectedly has been very difficult. I am not asking the board to overlook the district enrollment challenges. I am simply asking for an opportunity to continue being a teacher, to complete my certification, to continue learning and growing professionally, and serve the students and families of our school district. I respectfully ask the board to consider my certification progress, my work with Arizona Teachers of Tomorrow, my upcoming exam, my professional development, and my communication with HR about the August 31st timeline, and the possibility of continuing as a long-term sub while I complete my certification. I truly love what I do. I love teaching, I love my students, and I want to continue growing into a teacher I know I can become. I hope you will consider allowing me the opportunity to continue to serve our community and Yuma and make a positive difference in the lives of all our students. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my concerns, and for considering my situation, and for allowing me the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you. Allison Riggs.
Good afternoon, governing board members. My name is Allison Riggs. I am a parent of a student at Price Elementary School. I'm a proud military wife. I come here to address concerns for Price Elementary School on behalf of Julie Corral, on behalf of the parents for third graders, fourth graders, and fifth graders. As prior military, I'm sure some of the board members here, you guys understand that PCS season is rough. With the understanding that you guys have a number for enrollment is important for a school to maintain, teachers to be paid. I understand. However, for some of our children to have a teacher yanked 2 weeks as school starts, that's rough on a schedule. I don't come here to complain. I don't come here to point fingers. I only ask that you look at Price Elementary School, not just as a normal school, but as a school that helps our military families as well. I have 3 children who attend Price Elementary. I have a 5th grader, I have a 2nd grader who's going into 3rd, and I have a kindergartner. Their education is very important to me. That's why we're all here today. We have important matters to discuss. I hope you guys will understand that Price is a very unique school. We are small, but we're small because we are on a base. We only have so many people that come out here and so many people that can really help our children. I can't express to you enough how much I appreciate the time that Julie Corral, Miss Metz, Miss Hall, some of the teachers, and Miss Finley, who put in the time to get to know my children as I've been through 5 different states. I appreciate the fact that they know my children's name, the fact that they put in the time to know them as an individual person. So I come out here hoping that you guys will understand the pressure on Price Elementary and that you will reconsider our teachers and give them the support that they need to continue striving for y'all's goals as well. So that's my only mission today. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Palmer. Mr. Howard is open to communicating. I think there's at least something worth looking into, what the restrictions are about busing from the foothills, taking some pressure off of classrooms. I know there are limitations, but definitely worth something to explore.
Yeah, Danny has had a few meetings with him, and we'll continue to have those meetings and try to figure out what opportunities are available to boost enrollment in ways that we can.
Okay.
Yep.
So is Allison the end of that section?
Yes.
So yeah, I'd like to make a comment too.
You cannot comment and call the public, Jeff, so you need to.
Actually, it says
You
here
can
that
clarify.
we can respond to criticism and direct staff review after the last person has spoke.
Not if it's a personnel related issue. You do not get to do that in public session.
According to ARS 38-431.01, we are allowed to respond to criticism, direct staff review, and request future agenda placement.
You're asking for a future agenda placement?
I am asking for a future agenda placement.
The time and place at the end of the session to be able to do that, Jeff.
I got it. So future agenda items are at the end. You can, if you want to place it on there at the end of the meeting.
Will do.
All right. All right. Janet Valdez.
Good evening. So today there's a lot of familiar faces. Today I'm not here as an employee, I'm here as a mother. My son attended Atondo, and it hasn't been a good experience for me. He is an ESS student, he is nonverbal. My son developed some sort of trauma to where he could only say maestra mala, which means teacher is mean. And it got really bad to the point where I had to leave work every single day to go get him because he did not want to get up from bed. There was a case where he would come home soaked, and I had to reach out to his teacher, Miss Argyle, because his diapers were not touched, his clothes were not touched from his backpack, and she responded through Class Dojo at the time that I did not provide diapers. I'm not a mom to forget that my son needs diapers. He's not potty trained. This last school year was his last time in Atondo. I pulled him out because I don't have proof that he was abused. He didn't come home bruised. I just assumed, because I know what I have at home. I know my son, when he's stubborn at something, there's no way to change his mind. But my daughter attends Atondo, and when we would pick up my daughter, he would say, I'm not maestra mala, even though he knew he wasn't going to stay there. We were just picking up his sister. This past July, I ran into his paraprofessional, and my son, he got really happy. And when he doesn't like someone, he crosses his eyes to scare you away. And his paraprofessional had hugged him. My son let himself be hugged. He was happy to see her. And then she apologized to me, and I was very confused on why she was apologizing. And she said, I know your son was not being treated the way he should have by his teacher because he cries a lot. I know my son cries a lot, and I know that when the anger gets to him, there's just no stopping it. And as a parent, that really hurt to hear that my son was not being treated the way he should have. And I did make a report. I did file a complaint back in December with the state of Arizona. And I know I should have made the report a lot sooner, but out of fear because I didn't have evidence of what was happening in the classroom, I kind of pushed it off. So, and then I did make a meeting with the ESS coordinator, Miss Erica Jimenez, and she's a very lovely lady. She heard me out. I didn't get much of a feedback other than let's talk to another teacher at Atondo. Why would I bring my son who's traumatized being at Atondo back to Atondo? I would just like to know how that makes sense. So with that being said, being an ESS teacher requires more than teaching academics. It requires understanding that behavior is communication. It requires patience when a child cries. It requires recognizing when a child needs comfort rather than viewing that need as a burden. Every child deserves to feel safe at school. My son deserved that too. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir Chavez?
Hello. Happy new school year. Thank you, district leadership. Thank you, board, for your time and service to the district and the community and the families. So my name's Sarah Chavez. I'm a mom of two, a third grader and a pre-K student at District 1, specifically Desert Mesa. And I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm going to be around for many grades. They're young, so you'll see a lot of me. But I really just want to invite you into my family's journey. So last year, my 4-year-old was diagnosed with autism level 2. Fortunately, we honed in on some early intervention, and he started last year with the ESS preschool program, the half-day program, and very wonderful experience. I learned a lot as just a parent for being on the IEP side of the table that I have no experience with. And so it was really daunting, but I was just met with a lot of compassion. I was treated like a parent. My son was talked about as he was a child and not just a student. And so he'll be transitioning into a full day inclusion program this year. I'm excited, but very nervous as well because it's change, and change is scary for many. But I'm hopeful with what the next chapter will bring. So our days start very early with my son's curbside bus pickup. And because that's the first interaction of the day for him, it's really important. And I've never felt uneasy about him being on that bus, maybe the first day when he threw a fit. But after that, he willingly went with two people who weren't mom and dad, and was always greeted with such care and concern. And for a 4-year-old who's skeptical of others in the world, that meant a lot to me. I've had opportunities to attend Friday lunches, parent-teacher conferences, and I'm just welcomed into every conversation about my child's needs. And again, my kids are talked about as if they're my kids and not just another student. Last year, we ended the school year with a lot of wins. When we first started, my son's speech was very, very limited, and by the end of the school year, his vocabulary grew extensively, his mannerisms, and his interaction with myself and the world around him, which as a mom is a really big deal to see when your son's not meeting the regular developmental milestones that other kids are. So his SLPA, Mr. Gerber's gonna have to maybe give her a shout out, but I can't remember her name, and that's my bad, and I'm so sorry because she deserves way better than that. But she's just so amazing, the work she did with him. And at open house this year, she ran into him and he ran to her immediately. And they did their little, side thing because he doesn't really talk much. So my older daughter has also thrived at Desert Mesa, not only academically, but social and emotionally. This summer, she actually had the opportunity to attend Camp Invention at Otondo Elementary, so not even her school. I had never heard of that program before, but the team there that led it deserves a real special shout out. They dedicated a week of their summer, and I'm sure undoubtedly many hours of preparation to creating a really good experience for those students. She came home with knowing more about science, exploration, and building inventions that I can't even tell you how they were crafted. So I share all that again just to invite you into my journey. I'll be around for a while. And just to kind of shine a light sometimes on what's working well, and speak up when something needs attention, I definitely will. I won't shy away from that. So public school and the district ESS program, that's the resource we have to work with, my husband and I. So we just want to do what we can throughout our journey in education to make it work. And so my hope is that, throughout that time, we remain collaborative, solution focused, and any honest conversations that we need to have, we're willing to have. So Stay tuned for my 4-year-old pre-K's journey as he embarks on this. And thank you so much for all your time and service. Thank you.
Thank you. Darla Arroyo, right? Sorry.
Hi, good evening. Most of you know me, some of you don't. But I wanted to start by saying that I'm here tonight with 3 different perspectives. I'm a mother of a child in a general educational classroom. I'm a mother of a daughter with autism who's part of our district's ESS program. And I'm an inclusion teacher at Atondo. But before any of those titles, I'm simply a mother who is my child's biggest advocate. I understand that sometimes you have to be your child's voice. You have to ask questions, speak up, and advocate when something doesn't feel right. Recently, I read a Facebook post that was shared across multiple groups. As a parent, I understood the emotions behind it. When you feel like something isn't right with your child, you want answers. You want people to listen. But I also found myself thinking about the other side that often doesn't get said enough. We don't always hear from the hundreds of ESS and general education parents who are happy, the parents who are grateful, the parents whose children are making the progress, the parents who see the incredible work each day that's happening each day. I came here tonight not as an upset parent, but as a thankful one. I have watched our ESS teachers fight for their students, modify curriculum, accommodate individual needs, and find different ways to help children succeed. I've seen teachers and paras love these children, protect them, celebrate them, and never give up on them. I've also personally seen our principals, Ms. Fox, Ms. Walters, and Ms. Kay, get down on the floor with a dysregulated child because that's what the child needed at that moment. Because at the end of the day, they're there for our children. I want you to imagine an ESS classroom. Imagine having 10, 12, 15, however many, each with different needs, communication styles, and challenges, and potentially several struggling at the same time. Would you be able to handle teaching that many students and never accidentally making a mistake? The challenges that you may struggle to manage with one child at your house, they are working through multiple children every single day. Is it perfect? No. But they are trying. They are trying to find what works, help every child succeed, and make sure every child feels safe, loved, included, and supported. I've experienced this personally with my own daughter. Changes and disruptions to her routine can be very difficult, and it is with all children with autism. There have been times when her usual supports weren't available, and I've seen Ms. Fox, Ms. Acedo, and Ms. Alonzo. They have taken the time to sit with my daughter throughout the years in her general education classrooms so that she could stay regulated and continue her routine. They have had a million principal things, I'm sure, to do, but they showed up for a child that was just in need. And they weren't looking for recognition. I only knew because my daughter came home glowing, excited, and she wasn't in trouble, but the principal took the time to understand her, get to know her, and help her become successful with her work that day. Those moments may seem small, but to a child with autism, they mean everything. So those principals and every teacher and staff member who do those things every day, thank you. Nobody's perfect, not parents, not teachers, not principals, not schools, but we are human. We make mistakes. We may disagree, but sometimes the best thing we can do is sit down, have a meeting, listen to another perspective, and come up with a plan. My daughter has had multiple placements within the district as programs have expanded and there's different things that happen. There were many times I was scared. I was hoping that they would understand her, hoping she would be successful in that placement, but I wasn't alone. I had a team. So thank you to the amazing team throughout her years. Thank you, Miss Jillian Ebhart, Miss Becky Kujol, Erica Jimenez, and Brian Riley, just to name a few. Her success is because people believed in her, supported her, challenged her, accommodated her, and loved her. So tonight, I'm not here here simply to defend Atondo because I'm a teacher. I'm here because I'm proud of the growth I've seen in our ESS department over the 13 years I've worked here. I'm proud to see the same growth as a mother with a child who lives it every day. Parents should speak up, but we also need to be willing to listen. Teachers and administrators should listen, but they also need to be willing to help, compromise, and find solutions. But most of all, we need to see the whole picture of things. There are many families who simply want to say thank you. Thank you to the teachers, thank you to our ESS staff, and thank you for our administrators for just doing the things you just didn't have to do. Nobody's perfect, but I know there are many people here who care deeply about getting it right. And for that, I'm truly grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, if you haven't already, would you reach out to Ms. Valdez, find out what's been happening, how we've helped resolve the issue?
Sure.
Is there anybody else that would like to come to call the public? Nope. All right, we will move on to item 5, consent agenda. Approval of these items are of routine nature, and those that normally do not require deliberation on the part of the governing board. A board member may pull items which will be discussed and voted on separately. Are there any items that a board member wishes to pull? Nope. Do we have a motion?
Mr. President, I move that we accept the agenda or consent agenda as written.
Okay,
I second.
Lisa. Moved by Mr. Stoner, seconded by Ms. Anderson. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. On to item 6, action items. 6.1, discussion and approval of superintendent's reappointment for Education Foundation. Mr. Ponder.
Do you want to take this time as we usually do to let people leave if they wish to? They're welcome to stay. It's intense, but
I never do it after the high five. We didn't have. Oh, yes.
yeah.
Those that would like to leave, you're more than welcome to leave.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that reminder. Just routine after the high five.
I was like, I don't think this many people want to stay and listen to the rest.
Stay.
Are we allowed to walk?
Started.
Why is one side leaving
Right?
and the other side is staying?
This was and so what's this? Like what's this? And then who are the other guys?
All right, now we can move on to item 6.1, Mr. Ponder.
Mr. President, members of the board. According to section 401B of the bylaws of the Education Foundation of Yuma County, Yuma Elementary School District Number 1 is among the educational entities that holds an appointed seat on its board of directors. The governing body of each of these educational entities shall affirm its representative annually. It is recommended the governing board approve the appointment of Mr. Dennis Ponder as the official representative of Yuma Elementary School District Number 1 on the Education Foundation of Yuma County Board of Education, our board of directors.
That's you.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
me. Yeah,
very
yeah.
nice.
I read that in third person for, I don't know. I'm the math guy, I don't know.
I move to approve Mr. Ponder's reappointment for the Education Foundation.
I'll second.
Is there any conversation? Nope. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. All
No,
right,
please.
item 6.2, congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
It's,
Dwayne asked if he wanted me to clap, or if I wanted him to clap, but that's, yeah, that's not necessary.
Just one more. Everything that is required of a superintendent.
Right?
Item 6.2, consideration to approve rescheduling September's regular board meeting. Mr. Ponder.
So as the September regular board meeting is scheduled for September 8th, 2026, and the executive administration will be attending the ASBA Law Conference in Scottsdale. The governing board may discuss and take possible action to reschedule the meeting to an alternate date. So it's recommended that the governing board discuss and approve rescheduling the September board meeting to a different date.
Do you have a recommendation for that date?
Well, we do have some conflicts for you to consider. So the first week, Leanne is out of commission. So if we go the first week of September, she's unavailable. The second week is law conference. The third week, we're available and open. So nights that week would be optimal. And then the fourth week, starting on Monday, the 21st, I'll be out of town that week. So it's either the week of the 14th or we got 3 days, the 28th, the 29th, or the 30th, that we could schedule the meeting to. So
Probably the 15th is gonna be, I don't wanna push it a week before a second meeting.
right.
So 15th. So I will move that we reschedule the regular board meeting to September 15th at 5:45, the same time. May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Right, moved by Mr. Ware, seconded by Mr. Ibarra. Any conversation, comments, questions? No, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to item 6.3, discussion and possible action on school supply list distributed by schools to families and the community. Mr. Stoner.
Thank you, Mr. President. So for many years, families have been preparing for school and are given school supplies of items needed for their children. Through the years, it seems the lists have grown longer and longer in items being added for the parents to purchase. Many of these lists being submitted to the families do not disclose that these lists are strictly voluntary for purchase. This non-disclosure misinforms the families and gives them the impression that they must purchase and provide these items to the schools. Furthermore, the majority of the items on these lists are actually required by law for the district to purchase and supply. I'll go through a few of those. The Arizona Attorney General opinion I-84-013 ruled that public schools cannot charge for fees require parents to purchase items that are essential to complete a course for credit, meaning any items such as pencils, papers, crayons, erasers, staplers, etc., being used for an assignment that must be graded, and it should be provided by the district or shall be provided by the district. Arizona State Constitution, Article 11, Section 6 mandates that the legislature provide a school system where instruction shall be as nearly as free as possible and that the school system be general and uniform. Through the core test, the ruling asserted that the public schools cannot charge fees or require parents to purchase items that are essential to complete this course for credit, meaning any item necessary to be used to perform an assignment that will be graded as is integral to the curriculum. Therefore, the school must have these supplies available for the students to use free of charge. Arizona Revised Statute 15-723 states, and 15341A4 mandates that every school district governing board shall acquire furniture, apparatus, equipment, library books, and supplies for schools to use. Arizona Revised Statute 15-723 mandates that free textbooks, subject matter materials, which are those items I described, and supplementary books shall be furnished in common schools. So it's in this research that I believe that our district is not in compliance with the laws as the statutes described by basically not putting that it's a voluntary action, not submitting on the top or saying that, that it is voluntary, which is kind of misleading the parents. Is my grandson, for example, is going to be going to Dorothy Hall, and that list for a kindergartner was $150. And if you want to multiply that by every single kid that's in our district, That's a lot of money. I understand that we do have blessed families that, that they can afford to do that, and we welcome those donations, but that's exactly what they are, is donations. They're not a mandatory requirement. And unfortunately, parents are kind of being misinterpreted or being misled unintentionally into thinking that they have to supply those items because they're not being told otherwise. I'd love to go ahead and open that up for discussion before I go into a request.
Can I start? Sure. I guess current context, so the rest of the world is aware of what you already know, Jeff, that the district administration has answered several emails over the summer about these questions. And it was made very clear that and established that supplies are not mandatory. One of my kids goes to Dorothy Hall. It's not mandatory. It states that no child is denied access because they do not bring supplies.
Right, that's true.
So some of the statements you're saying, I feel, are a little misleading. There is a process for teachers to request needed materials. And this may be, Miss Walden can probably confirm, I think it's about $3.3 million that you guys spend on supplies and instructional aid. Is that right? Okay. So clearly resources are being provided. I've had a list since I was a child of school, back to school shopping. So I think the first piece is, what data do we have before deciding on some type of district-wide policy? What complaints have come in? What have we done as board members to refer them over to the district to, if there are those cases of people not able to have supplies? I went to 3 different open houses, all in which teachers said and principals stated, if you cannot bring the notebook, we have extra for you. So I guess I'm just wondering, what data do you have to show that this is something that warrants more time into a policy? We serve over 8,000 students. And if we want to do quick math, like you were talking about, at $150 or even $100, $800,000 if we purchase for all students for these lists. So is this a policy for all that's actually needed? Or is this a conversation, Jeff, around where are there pockets of need? Because absolutely there are need. We've seen it in back to school shopping that I was also there with you. What is the need? And is it an actual policy that is going to help that need? Or is it about coming together with the principals and administrators around what are the students that are in need, what supplies are in need? And then when you make a policy, it becomes a blanket requirement in a budget that is already struggling. So I guess my questions is, how many complaints have we actually received? Have we followed our own policy as board members and actually referred them to the administrators? Or are we just collecting anonymous data? I don't know. But before we make a policy, we need to have some information, is my thought around this.
So do we need to have complaints to follow the law? Is my first question back to you.
Followed, as Dr. Dennis Ponder stated in the several emails. I think there was 5 or 6 over the summer.
Okay, if the law is being followed, then why are we, if the school is supplying all essential items per law, why are we sending out supply lists?
These are additional items. To have a binder for Avid, you don't need to live the Avid way with a binder. A binder is a good way for my 10-year-old who is very unorganized to organize his life.
In those lists, they state things such as pencils, erasers, paper, crowns, staples. Those are not binders. These are items that the district is supposed to supply, period, by law, by statute.
There's a PO process that teachers are able to do. And if teachers are coming to you, again, this is a question, Jeff. If we have legit concerns from educators that are in the trenches every day, absolutely, we need to entertain those and listen. If there are parents that are unable to pay for these things, absolutely, we need to have that conversation. But to me, I just feel like, again, we're spending so much time on creating policies that may be, it's a blanket policy that's actually not addressing a need that is a need across the district.
Okay, so I'm gonna go forward then a little bit on our next action item. Are teachers paying money out of their own pocket to supply school materials?
Well, we need to keep the conversation.
Well, that's a part of this, is that she just said that teachers are not doing that, but I'm gonna ask, are the teachers paying money out of pocket for materials for their classrooms?
Separate items, so we'll get. to
Okay, well,
that
my answer to that is yes, they are, and they'll have that conversation.
Focused
So-
on parents.
This item, the school supply list, first of all, is supposed to state that it is mandatory. That is my first complaint, and it is not. Since I've said that to Mr. Ponder, he has made some corrections, and some of those corrections have been made. We still have to make, and all that it said was voluntary. I think we need to go a step further, and we need to actually have an agreement through the board that it states things that the other districts around Arizona says. And I will find that. There was several examples. I have several pages here to go through too, though. Disclosure statements from Deer Valley Unified School. Arizona law requires the public schools provide supplies required for academic access. This list represents optional supplementary items which you may supply at your discretion. If you have questions, feel free to contact the school. Dysart Unified School District. All materials required for a student's education will be provided by Dysart Unified School. This supply list represents general optional items you may supply at your discretion. Litchfield Elementary School. Arizona law requires public schools provides the supplies required for academic success. This list represents optional supplementary items that you may supply at your discretion. That's just a few of those that we were not following.
Like you just used the word optional, which is what ours was saying.
And I agree 100%. It can be optional for those that are blessed enough and have the money to do that. But I am standing up for the parents that do not have that option.
The question-
I'm standing up for the parents that are deciding between paying for materials and paying their electric bill. So we as a district need to supply the materials that are integral to the curriculum that's going to be graded, period.
So.
And the
my
ones that can
question-
afford to do that as a voluntary item, we obviously accept that 100%, but it's not the way it is right now, and it has been misleading and misrepresentative of what's been going on. That is why I brought this to the board.
So you do not like the word optional is what I'm hearing.
I am not saying I do not like the word optional. I am saying that we are not voluntarily putting the list on there that it is a voluntary item. We were insinuating by not putting voluntary purchase that this is a mandatory purchase. We need to clear the air, and we need to be able to tell them that this is a voluntary purchase and that the state laws say that the district is supposed to supply those materials in the first place.
So would
That's
it
what I'm
make you
saying.
Feel better and good enough. I mean, school's already started. And when you brought this up, some of those lists were already out is where I think your frustration came. I hear you. Would a solution be to agree that, and I think Mr. Ponder had already said this in one of his emails, that for next year, that this is a blanket statement. There is all of the lists will have some uniformity to making that statement. Would that make you feel better? And also, again, to those parents that may feel pressured to do that, would that be a solution, or are you only thinking a policy? Because we can have a policy, but you don't follow our board policy. So like, what's a policy without, it's what is going to be in the best interest for these kids in need? And that's the solution here. So do you think having that stated on that form is good enough? Or do you thinking we have to do this sweeping wide policy and take time legal to review and all of those things? Like what would make you feel best in this situation?
So yes, that is one of the items that is on my request, is that the board discusses and approves mandating a legal disclaimer statement posted at the top of the school supply list forms that clearly informs the parent law or by law the district is required to supply school supplies and that the school supply list is strictly for voluntary purchase. That is one of my items.
I feel this is at this point is an overreach of the governing board. I want to take the words of Mrs. Chavez that spoke earlier today when she said collaborative, solution-focused conversations. I feel as a governing board member, I need more information. Yes, I've read the emails and the statutes, but I really feel this needs to be an internal study. An internal study of the school district, maybe by campus, by grade level. Let the teachers, let the administrators review the class lists, because this is also part of the work that they do in these class lists that they put out. Let them understand the statutes and do a study of that. And then perhaps come back, after a leadership team review, come back in January and present to the governing board. So that in what I vote for and what they propose is something that I support that comes from the ground, from internal to us.
I don't disagree with that. I think that we do need to have an open conversation of what's going on here. And obviously, school supply lists have gone out for this year. So I'm talking about for next year that we need to plan now and make set the record straight for what's going to happen next year. I do think that we need to have a blanket one size fits all as far as that goes of what's going to be on that school supply list. My second request is that the board discusses and approves that the district provide a school supplies list consisting only of the items that are required for parents to purchase, such as backpacks, lunch boxes, gym shoes, etc., to be on that school list, so there is no confusion of what do I have to buy and what is voluntary. And that the school supply list be created by the administration, and the same list be used evenly for all schools in our district. Any and all school supplies that are mandated by law for the district to be provided shall be removed from any of these the school supply lists. And I mean, if you want to create a separate list that says, hey, if you want to volunteer this and you want to donate that, that's fine. And my next question, I guess, talking about a donation list, if all of these things are being donated by the parents, are they being recorded in our donations that we're calling out every single month? It's a donation, right?
For my child to use a pencil, no, I don't count that as a donation. If I was donating, like I donated some money for another child to have some things, then I could see that being a donation, but not for my child to have some ease in their education in their classroom.
And everybody could have that donation list as an option. But is it donation as a voluntary supply? Or is it a mandatory purchase? Which one is it? If it's a donation if it's a voluntary purchase, obviously you voluntarily gave it to the school as a donation. Is it being recorded as a donation?
So I'm seeing two things here. And Mr. Ponder, is there a mandatory item outside of kids wearing clothes that would prevent them from coming to be attending or enrolling in school?
No.
There is no mandatory items.
We serve
Okay.
all children.
So no mandatory. And what I read in the emails, what I'm seeing here is some sort of action to prevent us from getting into the position that we found ourselves in this year. Or I believe there was one or two lists that went out, mandatory supplies, right? That goes against statutory, right? So I don't believe in making policies to mirror statutes, but I do believe in educating or providing information so that we don't find ourselves in the same position where we send out items that could get us in trouble, or worst case scenario, deter the trust of the public. So I understand what Jeff's saying. I understand, or Mr. Stoner, I understand what Ms. Rico's saying. I think what I am seeing here is there a standard method that we are communicating to our parents that the items are voluntary. There is no such thing as a mandatory item outside of clothes. Because even backpacks, right? I mean, it's not mandatory to have a backpack. So there is basically everything, all the school supplies are voluntary. But we found ourselves in a situation where we were misleading or potentially misleading parents. I get that. I don't believe a policy is necessary for that. It's adding layers. I do agree that some sort of standardized direction from the district to the school sites to prevent ourselves from doing that again.
Sure.
I think that's a responsible, value-added approach.
I do have a few examples I can show you of how a few of the schools have worked to address that. And so we did send out a communication over the summer to ask that the lists, remove any term that says mandatory or any term that's mandatory adjacent, however you want to phrase that, and then making sure it includes the word voluntary or optional. And so here's an example from Castle Dome where they did it. You can see middle school grade level optional supply list, and then even down here it says all supply items listed below are optional for parents to provide. So that's one method. They put it all on one page, nice, clean and easy, sweet little logo. Doing a little branding there. I like that. Where'd he go? There he is, right? And then another example, Dorothy Hall, same thing. They've got their list, they got their logo, and then down at the bottom, if assistance is needed with school supplies, please contact your child's teacher. All materials are voluntary. So another way of phrasing, the same thing. So if it's the preference to have a standard canned sentence at the bottom, I guess we can.
Okay, yeah, because I was just getting onto if you look at the calendar of events, every school site has their own unique way. Right? We have mascots, we have school colors, we have our individuality on our campuses. All for that supported, it's great. So I think a prudent way to approach this would be, we'll give you some time to come back with something that, this is the statement that would be on supply lists. The rest of the organization of that document, communication, will allow the individual school sites to keep their individuality. But it is direction from the district saying, hey, we want the parents to understand that through taxes, our budget, we supply all, and it's important to understand, graded academic materials, right? So there are things that are done, decorations, things that are not graded, that I don't believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that we can purchase things that are not part of the curriculum.
We can if there's an educational benefit, yeah, but you kind of have to weigh that out and see where you're at with it for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So there are limitations. It is government procurement, which I'm familiar with, and sometimes it's frustrating. Mr. Stoner, does that sound like something that we can do? Let Mr. Ponder come back. We can make a motion that he comes back the next meeting with some sort of a statement that will go on the communications for supplies that allows the individual school sites to keep their individuality. And we will review that in September. We can vote that it meets the requirements and brings value to the district. And it communicates to the parents that the items are voluntary.
Yes, I agree with that. I guess one of my asks would be is that statement is at the top of the page and not at the bottom of the page. When I was doing some background stuff on that, I was talking about how even putting it at the bottom of the page, changing the font to a smaller font, doing those things still contribute to being misleading or misrepresentative because you're not being open, you're not being transparent. If we're going to be able to do this and do this for real, I think that should be at the very top of the page. It should be something that's what they see, and then they can read down the line from there, knowing right off the bat, this is voluntary. Not reading everything first and then not reading at the bottom line where it said it was voluntary and then not getting the message. So I would like that we come up with the proper disclosure and then also put that disclosure at the top of the page for everybody to see right up front.
Okay.
So we can table this to next month for a future action item for September.
Sure.
Give you time to go through that information, come up with something that can be placed at the top.
Sure.
All right.
We can do that.
Yeah. All means.
On a happy note, I personally have witnessed supplies. For example, Tondo has a walk-in supply at a classroom, all kinds of supplies. Castle Dome, the same thing. I've worked for the district, and at no time did I ever see a student, if they needed something, they got it. When I went in O.C. Johnson, they got everything they need for those students, from shoes to backpacks to food, okay?
Let's not forget about Desert Mesa.
And that's okay, of course, Desert Mesa, they have those to-go packs on the weekends for students. That's another thing. And we need to praise our schools and our teachers, everybody that's working together, that when a student shows up and they need anything from a pencil to a pair of shoes, the school district will provide it. And that's on you all. Thank you.
Okay. With that, then I move we table item 3 to the September board meeting.
I second.
All right, moved by Mr. Royer, seconded by Mr. Stoner. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Right, moving on to item 6. Forgot my glasses. 6.4, discussion and possible action on school supplies purchased by teachers for classrooms. Mr. Stoner?
So thank you again. Through the years, I've heard and experienced our educators spending their own personal funds to provide items in the classroom for their students to be able to complete their curriculum assignments. Our educators should never have to purchase items related to their classroom studies and assignments. As discussed and disclosed in our school supplies list, information action item, the district is lawfully required to provide these items to our schools in each and every classroom. It is not the responsibility of the parent, nor is it the responsibility of the educator to provide these items. Though there is no direct law protecting educators from being put in a position to purchase these items, there are a few legal standings that protects them from this. Under Federal Labor Standards 29 CFR 541.602, requiring teachers to pay for employer operational expenses out of their salary operates as an illegal, unapproved salary deduction. Though the teacher is not being forced into making these purchases and monies are not being deducted from their check, the practice of the district not supplying the necessary items is leaving the educator to make a tough decision on either having the needed items for the curriculum, which will result in the assignments not being completed and lower grades by the students, or the educator paying for these items voluntarily out of their own pocket to fill the void that the district is responsible for. Because Arizona Revised Statutes 15-721 and 15-722 requires the governing board to approve course of study and include the textbooks and all required instructional materials necessary to complete that curriculum. 15-341A4 explicitly assigns the legal duty to acquire classroom supplies to the school district governing board. Administrators cannot unilaterally transfer that burden to the teachers. And so again, before I go, what my request is, I'm going to open this for conversation.
I'd like to jump in on this. So I think everybody here can agree that, or as far back as I can remember, we've always heard teachers are spending lots of money to pay for supplies in schools. I don't have any information from teachers willing to step forward to say, here's the list of things that I have to buy. So rather than governing on things that we don't have those facts on, I would like for either an anonymous survey, information gathering, try to get to the bottom of what is taking place, what is being purchased. Are those items required by the district to purchase, or are those items that the district can't purchase? And just what the size of this is, because I think everybody can agree that we've always heard teachers are spending money out of their pockets for schools, but really, what are those specific items that are being spent? I'm sure there's teachers buying highlighters and pencils and stuff. My own experience, I think there are other things that the district can't purchase that the teacher may want to acquire. So before we move forward with any kind of an action, I would like to understand what it is teachers are buying, because I don't think it's going to be the same thing in every classroom. And if we can pull from that information and in that survey or information gathering, find out if they're doing, why they're doing it, right? So what are you procuring and what's the reason? Are they procuring this because the school doesn't have them on site? Is the process too complicated? Unfortunately, it's government acquisition. It's gonna be tedious and it's gonna be a pain. So that would be my recommendation for this, is not to take an action on something we don't have all of the information on, because quite honestly, we can make an action item, but it may not change the outcome for the teachers, because if purchasing Gatorade is one of the things that somebody's complaining about, I mean, maybe you can, I don't know, it's Yuma, Arizona. But I'm just saying, there are a lot of restrictions, and I think we can
One of the 10 ingredients.
glean some good information on what's being procured and why it's being procured, and find a solution. So that would be my perspective on this. I don't know if anybody has a different perspective.
I mean, I think, again, in the spirit of collaboration, I mean, I heard Jeff, you said a couple of things which continue to frustrate me and worry me as a fellow board member. When you say things like the practice of district not providing, things like not requiring unilaterally and transferring that cost to teachers. You are making allegations that we do not know are true, one. Two, to Keith's point, there is a PO process. You are aware of that, as we all are. And maybe there are some educators that are not. And so maybe the why is that there needs some education around that process, and it might take some time. And to Keith's point, a very quick maybe solution, Leanne and Mrs. Lagunas in her principal meetings is asking the question, what do you think? How many of your teachers do you think are spending out of their own pocket? Why do you think that is? Is it that they're wanting to buy the frou-frou, like pink thing that is not gonna be approved in the PO, but it really makes like the kids love it? Or is it that the process is cumbersome? Or is it that they don't know how to fill it out, or they don't have time? Because that's good information for us to say, hey, we can come alongside you as a teacher, and can we alleviate that? And can we help you with that? But to Keith's point, we don't have the actual data. We hear about it. We see the great things in the classroom. You see how each classroom looks different, but we need to first understand, to just make bold statements that this district is not doing this, or we're not providing these things, like it's just not a collaborative spirit. And so I think we need to ask the questions, get the data, and then we can say, is there anything within our realm of control? To your point, like the government has some very specific rules, unfortunately, for public education. And so, but can we make that process easier? Can we work with Danny to say, what is this procurement process? Is there a piece that can be taken or lifted off of the teachers? Absolutely, we want to do that. But I mean, I think we first need to find out, and not even anonymous survey, like these principals know what they walk into their teachers' classrooms all the time. Ask the question and open that conversation, and then say, we want to figure out what are some barriers, but we also want to know, what are you spending and why are you doing that? And so that is a really easy way to build some trust, but then also to be able to be solution focused. And so I agree, we can just give it some time for them to ask those questions and gather that information. And then from there, we can see what's within our control.
So on my own 2 feet, I can stand here making these bold accusations because my daughter is an educator. 2 of my daughters are educators, and I know exactly what they spend. Also, on my own 2 feet, I've been a supporter of Gateway to the Heart Foundation for the last 6 years, where we supply material items to these teachers. And every single time we do that, we hear exactly what they say. I have the data. It might not be on paper, it's in personal experience. I have teachers in our own district that talk to me privately because they don't want to have any retribution for speaking out, that talks about how much money that they spend on their own. So I know that this happens. Now, I'm not done yet.
Okay.
I'm not done yet. I gave you your time. Give me mine. Teachers voluntarily will buy things that they have to make their classroom function. It has been happening. It is admitted by all of us that it has been happening. Yes, teachers do have to spend money on their own when they want to have a pizza party or they want to have something extracurricular, But what I am talking about is your curriculum items, your pencils, your papers, your erasers, your things like that, and like you just said, we have a whole stockpile. So if we have a whole stockpile, why are we asking for parents and teachers to buy these things? Why are teachers going out and spending money when they don't have it? Is it because that they have to turn in a request and it takes 2 to 3 weeks to get that? My other question to that is why, if we have that problem that evidently we are having because we're sending out school supply lists because teachers are going out and buying this stuff on their own, why are we not as a district buying enough at wholesale price at the very beginning of the year to carry them through the entire year? Why are we running out of materials towards the end of the year and we're asking for parents to bring in extra items because those are items the district's supposed to supply? Why are the teachers going out and buying these things because they're running low and because it's going to take 2 or 3 weeks to procure and get the stuff in their classroom? If there's not a problem, then why are we having these lists in the first place? If there's not a problem, then why am I hearing from the teachers themselves that they are out there spending their money on that? They should not be spending money on pencils and papers and erasers and extracurricular, yes, but on curriculum items, curriculum related items, just to be able to keep their school going and keep their students on task with their assignments. That is not the responsibility of the teacher. That is the responsibility of the district. And you would save a whole lot of money by buying this stuff up front and maybe buy a little extra surplus for a kid that breaks 3 pencils a week and have that money and have that supply there. Is what I'm saying. There shouldn't be a reason for the teachers to be buying these items. And I do know for a fact that they are doing those things.
Right. And Jeff, I think it's great that you bring these things up, because if we all hear it and we just take it as status quo, just the way it's always been, and it's never challenged, we never find out. But in this process, we may get to the end of the process and find out that 95% of the items are elective, or we may find the exact opposite. So I think it's good to go through this drill when I don't think any other district has ever tried to get to the bottom of teacher spending and parents' supply lists.
I think their money needs to stay in their pocket.
I don't disagree with you at all. I don't, but
think anyone
I
is
think,
disagreeing there, and this is where words matter, Jeff. And so like, we talk about policy, and we have a policy around anonymous complaints. So my concern, and I'm in HR, so I understand very well the importance of the employee voice and being a collaborator and mediator and all those things, but like, challenging something and asking questions is one thing, but making some really bold statements and not giving the opportunity for these principals or these administrators to say, hey, are we actually doing this? Like, is this real information? Like, our job, our policy as board members is to take these things, and when there are patterns, to say, hey, I'm going to go to Dennis with this. And if that employee or that parent is scared, I can go directly to them and say, Pecan Grove, Gila Vista, Dorothy Hall, whatever it may be, one of our 17, like, we can go through that. But it's our job to do that. That's the policy that we've agreed to uphold. And so it's just hard for me with, absolutely, I know teachers are buying things, but to Keith's point, what is it that they're buying? Why is it that they're buying it? And instead of just shaming this district leadership, assuming like ill intent, we need to be part of this solution around saying, like, what is it? And do we recognize that at this school? But I know if I ask Angela right now, what is the biggest need for those teachers at OC Johnson? And can we buy that in supply? She'd already be advocating for that and probably already has a PO in process for that. And can we help come alongside them? Can Mr. Ponder and Mr. Shepherd and Mrs. Laguna, Mr. Shepherd and Mrs. Laguna say, hey, this is a reminder, this is a PO process? Absolutely. But I think need to get away from this anonymous, constant, like, I hear this at the social media, like, goodness gracious. Like, how can we work better as a team? And that, I think, I'll talk about a future agenda item, but like, let's just ask the question. Let them go back and do their job because they know what their teachers need.
So none of this is Facebook. I just told you. This is my own personal experience. These are people that I've spoke to face to face. These are people that I have dealt with for the past 6 years plus. This is real. This is not a Facebook post. This is not a what if. And I'm not trying to shame the district like you just implied. What I'm saying is that our district needs to be able to supply the materials, and if we're not supplying enough, they need to step up and supply it.
$1.3 million in supplies and instructional.
And they're still asking for voluntary lists.
Correct, because public education is underfunded. Absolutely.
Public education is supposed to be as free as possible by law.
Right. So the value added to this conversation is getting to the bottom of why we hear the situation teachers are buying material for their classrooms. I think that is how we're going to move forward. We can banter back and forth about how we speak or what we say, but I think as a governing board, we need to move forward with how do we get to the bottom of this, gather the data, bring it back. It might be a multi-phase process where I'm leaning towards an anonymous survey so that there's no limitations to answers. Get the information, sort it. If it's going to take October's board meeting before we can survey, get the information back and say, here board, these are your categories. This is what they're spending money on. This is the reasons why. My thoughts are, what is being bought? Why are they buying it? And what would make it easier? Call me lazy, but I like it when other people provide good solutions to a problem. So I think those three questions, and I'm open if anybody has another question that would bring value to getting to the bottom of what, if you go out and poll 100 people, are probably all going to say the same thing. Teachers buy a lot of material for their classrooms. It's just, I've heard it for my whole life, and I don't have anybody in education. So
I mean, from the administrators, like, are you hearing a lot of this? Are you feeling like there's some type of like PO process that's holds up, or like, what is the information that you have since you guys deal with it?
450 or so. I'll probably let Danny and Leanne speak to the experience they had at their campuses. I haven't had anyone raise those concerns to me, specifically about that. What my experience at Castle Dome was, there was a room full of supplies that I could go get pencils and markers and sticky notes and all sorts of things, rubber bands, staple pullers, who knows, whatever. I didn't need that many things in PE. There wasn't a room where I could just go get brand new basketballs whenever I want.
Yeah, and I'm going back to Desert Mesa, they have a complete stockpile. So the materials are there, but what I'm trying to get at is the funding that is coming from the parents and coming from the teachers.
Right.
That should not be happening. I know that we have stockpiles. I know that we have those things, but if we do, then why are we asking them to go buy more? And why do they feel like they have to go buy more? Why is that happening?
Yeah.
And I think you just said it. Why do they feel like they have to go buy more? We need the
Well, they evidently.
information. You have 450
Right, we
teachers
need the
in
information.
district. We want to hear their voice and we want them to trust in
Yeah,
us and.
I would
get through
appreciate that.
program.
I think there was maybe a thought process of forming a committee, and I would be all for that.
right, I mean, so my thought, first step is let's gather the information and see what that brings and what's that next step. I mean, I don't want to resolve, I wish we could, but I don't want to rush to a solution without enough information to decide, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't expect this happening tonight. Like I said, these are, we have a whole year ahead of us. These are issues that I'm attacking now, because we need to solve this before next year.
right, so
I do have a question. Well, I do have a question. Does the district have a classroom supply line item in the M&O budget, that's strictly for supply line? We do have that?
Yes, we do have a line item in the M&O budget. We also have money in title that schools are given for supplies and other needs that they have. So we do have that set aside. So to kind of speak to what Corey had mentioned, in terms of instructional aids and supplies at 3.4 million, that's about 7,500 per teacher we spend. So the classroom supplies, I would say if they're spending money on things that are curriculum, I would be really shocked. If they were spending money on other things, I think that's probably more likely what we'll see, but we'll find that information out.
gather the data.
I do have a clarifying question. Do you want us to put a list of possible questions together and then get some input from the board on that? Because we are going to see some differences if we ask specific questions. So I want to make sure we're going to gather the information you guys are interested in. So would you like me to present you with some of those questions to get feedback on?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I think important aspects, and maybe it doesn't get worded exactly like this, is what's being bought for the classroom. why do you feel you need to buy them? And what would make
Make it easier.
whatever the challenge is, what would be that solution? I'm definitely not the smartest guy in the room, so I'm not gonna come up with all the questions. But I think it would be a good opportunity, if any board member has any specifics, shoot that off in an email, but I would leave the designing of it and bringing it back to the board, say, yep, that's the survey, and you do have the capabilities of anonymous
Yes.
survey.
Yeah, we can
Right, we
choose
did
not
it
to
for the
capture that
superintendent
information. Yep.
hiring process, and we had great turnout for that. A lot more questions than
Mhm.
this. And then that information comes back and
We can present that.
present the information in a public meeting, so we can all have those conversations, find out what it is and learn. I mean, perhaps Jeff is right. They're buying critical items. Perhaps it's not.
Yeah.
But we need to understand what we're gonna take action on.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm not asking for an answer tonight. I
No,
knew
I
this was gonna be
understand
something
that.
we're gonna have to go, you're gonna have to mail through. We're
I
gonna have to
understand
muddle
that.
through this for sure. I would like to see, maybe even conversation, maybe 2 to 4 teachers per school, maybe even a principal, or 2 or 3 or 4. Build that committee, have in-person conversation, let them speak out for themselves. I understand that we have an anonymous way of doing that, but there is that other route. We need to start somewhere. In-person meeting, anonymous email, however you want to call it. I would like to hear from those teachers.
Right.
If your teachers are not having any problems, then I'm wrong, but I don't think so. I've heard it enough that I don't think I am wrong, but I would love to hear both sides of this. I'd like to hear from the teachers that are telling me, yes, I am having this problem, and yes, I am spending money that I shouldn't have to. And I'd love to hear from the teachers that says no. Maybe there's teachers from one school that doesn't have the supplies, but that there's other schools that has all the supplies. I don't know. All I know is what I've had to experience the last 6 years, and then plus more than that with my own children that are educators. I know what's going on in that. I've lived it. So for me to be able to do that, I'm trying to solve this problem for you teachers. You shouldn't be spending money out of your own pocket for things that you shouldn't, that's not your responsibility. I'm trying to do that for the parents, that they shouldn't be buying things that the district should be paying for either. That's the only reason that I'm on this.
No one is disagreeing with those statements, Jeff. It's the way in which we ask for the data.
So I think that Mr. Ponder said he can do a anonymous survey. You would put together a list of questions that will go out, send that to the board for, in a Friday report that, hey, this is what we're looking at, and then board members can email you back directly to let you know if you're on target or if you're off. And if we need to bring it to the September meeting to vote on the questions specifically, we can do that. But if you can get a rough draft before the September meeting of the questions, gives us all an opportunity to review those and determine if we need to put it on the agenda to address it. And then we'll move forward with this. I don't want to rush it, but I definitely want to get to the bottom of it. I agree, public schools are underfunded, but we have an obligation. We got to figure that out. So no action on this, no motions?
No. Well, a motion to table for the next meeting.
I don't think we have to, because you can just have a discussion without an action.
Okay, excellent then.
And we've got it on record that he's going to send out the survey, the questions draft form before the next meeting, so we have the opportunity if necessary. It would be on the next meeting, because we would have to say, yep, that's the survey, move forward with it. So it will be on the next.
I don't know that you would by law have to approve that survey, but if that's an action you want to take, then we certainly could, but it could simply just, if I don't hear anyone saying I don't like these questions, we could just move forward with it.
Yeah.
But if you want to make it a
I'm
specific
comfortable with
action,
that if
September, we could do that
if
too.
you don't get any questions or anything like that, then notify us that you're gonna move forward with that.
Okay.
And if anybody has any objections to it, they'll of course reach out to put it on the agenda.
Okay.
So all right, then we will move on to item 6.5. Discussion of possible action on scheduling a date for a study session in September. For me, we have September 14th, 15th, and 16th available. I would say normal time, 5:45. Does anybody have any conflicts with those 3 dates?
Well, we have a conflict on the 15th now and
Oh.
I am in my program in Phoenix from the 16th to the 18th, so I would prefer the 14th.
Oh, we did move that meeting to
Yeah,
the
so we would, if
15th.
we did on the 14th, we would maybe have some information going into the 15th. I guess the study session, what are you interested in? Like, what are the objectives?
We got general boardsmanship. What else was there on there?
The
Discipline.
review, yeah.
Discipline review.
Okay,
And it gives us a great opportunity to maybe even discuss those questions.
okay.
So boardsmanship,
What is the possible timeline duration of this special meeting? Or study session?
what do you mean duration? Like how long?
Yeah.
Oh, we control that. If
So, well, because I was gonna propose maybe if it'll work out that we do that before the board meeting, that we're on the 15th, just back to back.
or the 14th, day before.
Yeah, well, then that'd be two, the 14th is one meeting and then we're coming back the 15th for the board meeting, right?
I really don't want to, because we'd have to push the regular meeting to 7:30, depending on how.
That's what I
long-
was at, that's what I
Yeah.
was asking, was how long of the duration and
If we
starting.
came in early, Jeff, like if
Exactly.
we did like 4 or 3 or.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If we could work it in the schedule to be here, 3 o'clock or something and burn our 2 hours and then have our meeting.
I would prefer to do it all in one day.
Me
if
too.
that's okay, but I agree,
You're
Jeff.
gonna make me look at my calendar.
I have mine up right now too.
I left September because I don't want to be there yet. I want the clean weather, but I
If we
don't.
did 3, that's like 2.5 hours to do that.
Yeah, and give us a break.
Yeah.
3 o'clock.
I like that idea, Jeff.
On the 15th?
3 o'clock on the 15th.
All right, anything earlier probably wouldn't, but 3 is fine.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay.
Are they gonna feed us?
No.
Did you hear that, Monica?
Bring your sack
Our
lunch.
employee to feed us. Heard she has a catering business. I'll spot
I
you.
didn't mean eat out loud. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah.
3?
Go to Mr. G's.
Okay.
We could do that.
We can find a study session at 3 p.m. We'll find a spot for it.
Yeah, so we have, oh yeah, I'm gonna make a motion that we schedule a study session for September 15th at 3 p.m. prior to the regular rescheduled board meeting.
I'll second.
All right. Moved by Mr. Ware, second by Mr. Stoner. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right. Item 7, future agenda items. Do we have any?
Yes.
Okay.
Where did Okay, so on the, I don't know if it's informational going into a possible action item on information to redistrict some of the foothills out to Price Elementary, so that we can accommodate Miss Juliet on her job. Does that make sense?
It does, but I think the extent of our authority would be to discuss the transportation aspect of it.
Yeah, the
not the
redistricting aspect.
personnel piece.
Right. That was my addition.
Price.
So
I was
redistrict
gonna
or
ask you-
just to look at transportation on, because redistrict as a term is a completely different, where we're changing boundaries and shifting, and I don't think.
Oh, no, we'd like just to take some kids that would be willing to go over to Post to try to fill up Post.
Some
Price.
transportation options that would get more kids perhaps out
Price.
from
Yeah.
Price.
Yes.
Is,
option?
Yeah.
is the next board meeting sufficient time to go through that process to have a decent response to how we can do that? Or are you looking at brainstorming it?
Brainstorming it. I don't know how, yeah, and you guys are the pros on that. What your ideas on how we can get some kids that are willing to go over there.
Since we have ample time, we can add that to the study session because there's no required vote on if the district chooses to grab students and bring them. Governing board doesn't need a vote on that, but we can definitely add it to the study session and have that conversation.
Okay.
Would you
Next.
be prepared for that in the study session?
Yeah, we should be able to have the meetings that we need to have before then to be able to talk about that. Yeah.
And then
I'm
next,
confident that Danny can do that.
all on you, buddy.
I don't know.
Can you speak enough?
And then the next one, to me, it's kind of an important thing that has come up recently. And I don't know that this is an action item or informational either, is discussion on issuing a visitor ban, no trespass orders for sex offenders on a case-by-case basis.
Issue,
Visitor ban or no trespass orders for sex offenders on campus to be on a case-by-case basis, depending on what the judge hammered down on them.
Are you wanting to
yeah,
know?
no discussion. We can't have a discussion on it.
Okay.
So if you can put together the details of that,
I guess I have
I
a question on that. Is that something that we can do as a study session, or is that something that we need to talk about as a board informational agenda?
I think you add to the study session because we can get advice.
We're gonna
right?
start at noon?
But it's the law says
I
what
know.
the law is, so let them just tell us what the law is.
Let's
So-
put them both on there, and if we can
Yeah.
all hold to our
Laws.
being short on our responses, it's gonna fill up that study session.
Yeah, I think we
Um,
could probably get a legal opinion on even the possibility of that, and then that could guide us on whether or not that's
In the meantime,
direction.
can you email Mr. Ponder and myself with the details of what you're looking at? I mean, that
I
leads,
started that conversation with you guys, but yes, I'll finish it.
but I just want to make sure that what he's asking legal is the direction you're going versus getting a response for one thing and it's not what you want or looking for. Any other board members have any future agenda items, or Mr. Stoner, do you have any more?
Nope, that's it. I'm good.
Thank you, everybody.